Now that we've learned how to thread the top and the bottom of the machine, we are now ready to sew. Before we begin sewing, we want to check to make sure that our presser foot is up, our needle is in the highest position, and that our dials for straight stitching are at B and 2.5. Now we're ready to sew. I'm going to demonstrate how to stitch a back stitch. A back stitch is a knot. It's a knot so that your work does not fall out. It is done at the beginning of your work and it is done at the end of your work. You do not start here and end here, because then from here to here would be a hole, or from here to here would be a hole. You must start at the very beginning. You're going to stitch all the way down, and at the end you're going to back stitch. So there's a back stitch, or what you know as a knot. We'll stitch straight, and then we will back stitch at the end. Now, in order to sew a straight line, we are going to use what's called a seam gauge. This will help you to stitch a straight line, and all stitching, unless otherwise stated, is done 5/8 of an inch from this edge. But this will help you determine 5/8 of an inch. So now if we come over here to the sewing machine, I want you to look right here at the bobbin cover, and on the bobbin cover you'll notice the fraction 5/8. That's 5/8 of an inch. It's 5/8 of an inch from here to the needle. And if we carry this line straight up, you will see 5/8 of an inch marking there as well. So now we're going to take our seam gauge and we're going to put it half on the plastic and half on the metal on the 5/8 of an inch line. That is going to help us. We are now going to take our paper. We're going to slip it in so that our right hand edge of our paper is against our seam gauge and that the top of our paper is just underneath the opening or the hole in the presser foot. We're going to straighten out our threads. And now we have to remember to drop our presser foot. We are now ready to begin to make a back stitch. What you're going to do is you're going to take your right hand and put it on the hand wheel, and you are going to do 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. In order to complete the back stitch, we are going to take our left hand and our thumb and we're going to push gently all the way down. But we're going to remember to turn our hand wheel always toward our body. It is extremely important. Turn the hand wheel toward your body, even if you're going to go in reverse. And we're going to take 3 stitches right over the previous 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Now our back stitch is made. Our back stitch is about as big as our pinky fingernail. Now we're going to put our foot on our foot pedal, because this regulates the speed of the machine. It's like a car. The more pressure you put on the pedal, the faster you go, the less control you have. So I want you to notice the speed of which I am stitching. That is the speed I want you to go at. Alright, we're ready to stitch. And when I'm going to stitch, I am going to look here at the seam gauge next to my paper. I am not going to look at the needle. I'm going to look here. That is the way I will get a straight line. So, here we go. Now you notice how slow I am going. And I am looking right here. And I'm going to let the machine take care of itself. And notice, I am not pulling or pushing the fabric or the paper. Even if I took my hands off a little bit, like this, you notice that it is still moves. We do not push or pull. Do that, you'll snap a needle. We just steer it like a car. We get very close to the end. Now I'm going to use my hand wheel to get right to the very end. I'm going to back stitch now. I'm going to take my thumb, push down on reverse, turn the hand wheel toward me, and go back. 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going to come forward so I can take the paper out. Once I'm done, I lift the presser foot, put the needle in its highest position, and I am going to pull about 12 inches out from the sewing machine. Then I am going to cut my threads close to my work. I'm going to cut close to my work. This way I will not lose any threads from my needle. And I'm going to make sure my threads are back underneath my presser foot. Now if you notice, there's my back stitch. It's a little thicker because that's 3 stitches forward, 3 stitches backwards. I stitched a straight line, and when I got to the end, I did my back stitch again. Now let me go over the parts of this. This is called a seam line. This is the seam allowance. From the seam line to the end is 5/8 of an inch, and the whole thing is called a seam. I'm going to take our seam, we're going to open this up, and there's my seam. And then it's stitched.